This message is for the international community. Today, December 9, 2025, there were supposed to be big protests in Tanzania. This protest did not exactly happen, and the world and the international community need to understand why. In the last protest, the October 29th, 2025 protest, after the people were threatened by the government, they did come out, the police came out and warned people, if you protest, you'll be shot. We are going to beat you. We are going to do all these things. They did threaten the citizens very vividly that they are going to commit violence against them and even kill them. But no one really believed they could be that evil. So the people took to the streets to fight for free and fair elections after the ruling party, after Samia Suluhu decided she wants to be the only viable candidate in the election. She jailed the main opposition party leader, gave him a fake treason case. She also banned another candidate from the second largest opposition party from participating. Essentially, effectively, she remained the only candidate. This happened after 4 years of the worst leadership Tanzanians have ever seen. Why am I saying that? The port of our main port, the port of Tanzania, was sold to the UAE in broad daylight, and the people could not do anything. The people of Tanzania, in the last couple of years, have lost their right to elect their president, to elect their parliament, to elect the ruling party. They have lost, like, their votes do not count anymore. Right now, it's pretty much the government that puts itself in power. And other than that, Tanzanians also experience the worst corruption and misuse of public funds. The government officials and their families were buying Rolls Royces, which I was able to show the Tanzanians with evidence how they're driving. They're buying Rolls Royce, Bugattis by using public funds. And but also the main issue was the issue of the constitution. The constitution in Tanzania is very outdated, and it only favors the main party to keep them in power. Without Tanzania getting a new constitution, the ruling party will never be removed from power by voting or by any other means. Why am I saying that? First of all, according to the Tanzanian constitution, election results cannot be contested in court. Whatever the election commission, the commissioner, and this commissioner is actually elected by Samia Suluhu. Whatever the final announcement of the winner is made by this commissioner of the election committee, that's it. You cannot go and contest it in court. So we've been fighting for a new constitution also. So when the people took to the streets on October 29th, they were met with unimaginable violence. They were met with bullets. Samia Suluhu murdered, shot and killed Tanzania over 10,000. It's not the 2,000 they're talking about. It's over 10,000. They were murdered in broad daylight. That's how she ended those protests. She had two choices, to step down or murder people. She chose to murder over 10,000 people to stay in power. This current government in Tanzania chose to kill their citizens who were unarmed, didn't even have knives, nothing. They shot them. And the world needs to understand how brutal these killings were. The police were shooting people on the head and the chest because they wanted to kill in order to send a message. Samia wanted to send a message. Do not question me. Do not protest. If you do, I'll kill you all. And the world needs to understand that the majority of the people that were killed during the October 29th election protest were not even the actual protesters that were on the streets. The police were going house to house, home to home, pulling out the males from the homes and shooting them in the head. The day that Tanzanians are no longer living under... So the day that Tanzanians are no longer living in fear, and world journalists and media houses are able to go into Tanzania and speak to the people of Tanzania, they will tell you these horror stories that I'm telling you right now. Samia Suluhu was sending police into people's homes, and they were pulling out the males, the young males, and shooting them in the head just to send a message of fear. This is what happened when Tanzanians tried to fight for their rights. This is what happened to them. And the world is just watching, issuing statements, but that is not enough. That is not enough. The Tanzanians now need help. We need your help. We're going to keep fighting. But there's only so much fight we can do against people who are coming at us with machine guns, with AK-47s. They're coming at us with all these military standard weapons, and we have nothing. We have nothing. The people of Tanzanians don't own guns, don't own nothing. We have nothing. So we need help. We need help to be able to remove this illegitimate. We need help so that Tanzania can get justice. We need help so Tanzania can get a new constitution. We need help so Tanzania can get everlasting peace. Because without removing this government from power, Tanzania will not experience peace, because this government has murdered over 10,000 of us. So there's no citizen that can go back to normal life. People want justice, and justice means removing Samia Suluhu from power. And we're going to need help. We're going to need international help. Just issuing statement is not going to do it. There has to be a plan. I don't know what is the job of the African Union, of the job of SADC. You know, I just don't know. You have a people who are currently living under fear, who are currently being controlled by guns. They cannot protest. If they do, they get murdered by their government. In the African Union, SADC, nobody's doing anything. Nobody's doing anything. We need your help. We need your help. We're going to fight as much as we can, but we also need the world to help us. And I need the international community to understand this, right? The only way Samia Suluhu can stay in power right now is by bribing people, bribing these powerful. Only thing Samia Suluhu is counting on right now in order to stay in power is support from powerful nations in the world. And she's trying to buy that support now by bribing these nations with our natural resources. I would like to ask the international community not to agree to be bribed, and to stand on the right side of history, to stand with the nation of Tanzania, with the people of Tanzania, and help them get justice and help them get their freedom back. Because right now, the truth is, Tanzanians are living under fear. Tanzanians are living under control by guns. They are being controlled by guns. We need your help.
Ladies and gentlemen, the video clip that we have begun the video with is a video clip of Tanzanian activist based in America, Mange Kimambi, who has been on the front line actually advocating for today's demonstrations that were supposed to take place down in Tanzania. The demonstrations were supposed to be taking place during the Tanzanian Independence Day celebration, where Tanzanians were supposed to actually storm the streets of Tanzania in different cities within Tanzania to actually demonstrate against the rogue regime of President Samia Suluhu Hassan. These would have marked the second liberation of Tanzania. Now, one thing for sure, many Tanzanians that have been sympathizers of the regime of Samia Suluhu Hassan might have thought that actually Mange Kimambi today has failed. But they don't know that actually it is them as a country that has failed. They might think that Mange Kimambi being on the front line advocating for these demonstrations to take place, and these went ahead to cost her one of the revenue platforms, one of our revenue platforms, that is Instagram account, that was pulled down by Meta due to the actual messages that she actually portrayed using her social media pages. She has been on the front line, that we cannot deny her. But many might think that she has failed. But Mange has not failed. The people that have failed are the people of the Republic of Tanzania. And if the people of the Republic of Tanzania have actually upheld that they have accepted the regime of Samia Suluhu Hassan to continue ruling them, then they should be ready for a trade. Because Tanzania as a country under the regime of Samia Suluhu Hassan has actually been locked out by the international communities from actually acquiring foreign aid and from actually borrowing debts that were being borrowed by the Tanzanian government to actually facilitate the development inside Tanzania. Now, there's a message that was actually today relayed by one CNN journalist, Larry Madowo, who also has been on the front line condemning the regime of Samia Suluhu Hassan as a regime that has actually performed crimes against humanity due to the controversies that arose after the post-election violence that happened after the 29th of October demonstrations that took place as Tanzanians stormed the streets of every city in Tanzania demonstrating against the regime and against the said general election, which they said was a general election that they disputed and were not subscribed to that general election. Allow me to dig deep into the story of one Larry Madowo and what he had to say today in regards to the failed demonstration that was supposed to take place in Tanzania. He says, the prominent journalist Larry Madowo ignited a global attention after posting a video on his official social media platform in which a Tanzanian laments that on the country's Independence Day, watu wamefungiwa ndani kama panya, saying citizens have been confined in their homes like trapped mice. Now, his post has intensified scrutiny over the tense situation unfolding across Tanzania, where authorities took an aggressive stance against planned demonstrations. Across major towns and cities, security forces erected numerous roadblocks restricting movement and increased patrols in anticipation of protests calling for justice and accountability over fatal incidences linked to the post-election crackdown. Police officials warned that anyone found participating in the demonstrations or even present near protest site without what they term as a valid reason risks being treated as a criminal suspect. The government agencies branded the planned protest illegal, arguing that organizers failed to submit formal notification and did not indicate designated routes, giving the state broad justification to disperse crowds and arrest both demonstrators and bystanders. As a result, many residents opted to remain indoors, particularly after the government directly instructed citizens to stay inside. Now, Madowo's video has now become a focal point of the unfolding drama, capturing the shock and frustration of Tanzanians who say Independence Day has instead turned into a day of fear and forced silence. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, demonstrations were supposed to take place down in Tanzania today. It was to be a day that a second independence was supposed to be mounted in the Republic of Tanzania by Tanzanians that had actually threatened that they would storm the streets requesting for justice to happen over the people that had been killed in the past post-election violence. But one thing for sure, people did not turn up. And the reason being, as explained by Mange Kimambi, is due to the intimidation that came from this government of Samia Suluhu Hassan. But one thing, if the voices of dissent are silenced, then a country loses its focus. If the voices of reason are termed as voices of inconveniences, then a country becomes, how should I put it? A country loses its focus. Yes, today, the government of Samia Suluhu Hassan, or the people, let me say, the forces or the Tanzanian forces, the police together with the military, well, today, celebrate this win that they see as if they have actually been able to contain an uprising that was meant to topple this government. But one thing they don't know, it is going to cost this country its dignity. Because in the upcoming years, global political analysts have predicted that the situations in Tanzania are going to be dire. The situation that is going to follow in Tanzania is going to be a situation that you have never seen before. Because the standards of living are going to actually go high. And once the standards of living in a country goes high, the country, to actually manage those standards of living, it either acquires foreign loans or it results to trying to generate its own revenue to actually manage the situation. But what resources does Tanzania has right now that are going to actually generate the revenue? And remember, this is a country that has a very huge public debt. It is a debt that an outstanding debt of over 100 trillion Kenyan shillings. I mean 100 trillion Tanzanian shillings. This country is in for a treat. Allow me to say it openly. You know, they might celebrate. They will be celebrating. They will take to the streets. They will say on social media, you know what, we won. We actually silenced the voices of dissent. And activists and social media influencers that are funded by the government or this regime will actually say that we won against those that tried to actually destroy our republic. But today is the year 2025. If they will be speaking the same language in the year 2026 on December, then the global political analysts that have actually analyzed the situation in Tanzania, then they have to lose that tag as political analyst. Because a country's pride lies in its economic establishment. A country's pride lies in its economic establishment. And let me tell you, the president has seen that today, all the noises that you made and everything that you said you would actually do against a regime has amounted to nothing. Then what next? The president will oversee this country being plundered, this country being rendered useless. The country itself will face a lot of things. Economic sabotage that is going to go down in Tanzania will go down in history. Because Tanzania what is going to hit Tanzania in the next 5 years under the regime of Samia Suluhu Hassan. This country, or Tanzania as a country, will recover from it maybe in 50 years to come. Tanzania will remain a third world country for the next century. It's not something that we are speaking out of malice, or something that we are speaking out of, out of the blues. But it's something that, if you are keen to actually looking at what actually was declared the other day, look at what the African Union said. Look at what the United Nations declared. Look at what the European Union went ahead to declare. They actually went ahead, this country freezed the aid that they were actually deploying to Tanzania. America, the same thing. It started actually reviewing its relationship with Tanzania. What does it tell you? You might think that you have won, but the win that you will celebrate today, we shall wait for you to celebrate it in the next coming 2 years. That's what's up. Subscribe.